The Trump presidency ushered in an era of uncertainty in transatlantic relations. European allies, accustomed to decades of predictable U.S. foreign policy, found themselves grappling with an American president who often seemed ambivalent, if not hostile, towards the transatlantic alliance. Trump's America First rhetoric, coupled with his skepticism of multilateral institutions like NATO, raised concerns about the future of U.S. security commitments to Europe. Trump's pronouncements on NATO were particularly unsettling for European leaders. He repeatedly questioned the relevance of the alliance, labeling it obsolete and demanding increased defense spending from member states. His transactional view of security alliances, often framed in terms of financial contributions, further strained relations with key European partners. The unpredictability of Trump's foreign policy decisions, often communicated through impulsive tweets or off-the-cuff remarks, heightened anxieties across Europe. Allies questioned the reliability of U.S. security guarantees, particularly in the face of an increasingly assertive Russia. Trump's foreign policy was further marked by a tendency to prioritize personal relationships with autocratic leaders over traditional alliances. His warm relations with Russian President Vladimir Putin, coupled with his disdain for NATO, raised concerns about a potential realignment of U.S. foreign policy priorities. The United States has maintained a substantial military presence in Europe since the end of World War II. This presence, a legacy of the Cold War and the subsequent NATO alliance, has been a cornerstone of European security for over 7 decades. The current troop levels, however, represent a significant reduction from their Cold War peak. Germany, a pivotal NATO member and a key U.S. ally, hosts the largest contingent of U.S. troops in Europe. The Ramstein Air Base in Germany serves as a critical hub for U.S. military operations, logistics, and intelligence gathering. Other significant U.S. military installations are scattered across Europe, including bases in Italy, Spain, and the United Kingdom. The overall number of U.S. troops stationed in Europe has fluctuated in recent years, influenced by geopolitical developments and changing strategic priorities. The annexation of Crimea by Russia in 2014, for instance, prompted a temporary increase in U.S. troop deployments to Eastern Europe as a show of support for NATO allies. The current troop levels, while significant, are a far cry from the hundreds of thousands of U.S. military personnel stationed in Europe during the Cold War. The reduction reflects the changing security landscape and the emergence of new global challenges. The Trump administration's pronouncements on potential troop reductions in Europe sent shockwaves through the transatlantic alliance. Discussions about reducing the U.S. military footprint in Europe predate Trump, but his rhetoric and apparent willingness to act unilaterally heightened concerns among allies. Meetings between U.S. and NATO defense officials during the Trump administration were often fraught with tension. European leaders expressed their concerns about the potential consequences of a hasty or substantial withdrawal of U.S. troops. They argued that such a move would weaken NATO's deterrence posture and embolden Russia. While Trump often expressed frustration with European allies' defense spending, he stopped short of ordering a large-scale withdrawal. However, his administration did announce plans to withdraw approximately 12,000 troops from Germany, a move that was met with dismay by German officials and many in the U.S. defense establishment. The potential troop reductions exposed deep divisions within NATO and raised questions about the alliance's future. European leaders, wary of Trump's unpredictable foreign policy, began to explore options for bolstering their own defense capabilities and reducing their reliance on the United States. The prospect of a reduced U.S. military presence in Europe has prompted a renewed focus on the capabilities and readiness of European armed forces. While Europe collectively possesses significant military assets, it faces challenges in terms of coordination, interoperability, and the willingness to deploy forces in harm's way. European defense spending, while increasing in recent years, lags behind that of the United States. This disparity is particularly evident in key areas like air defense, long-range precision strike capabilities, and intelligence gathering. The lack of investment in these critical areas has left European militaries overly reliant on the United States. European militaries also struggle with issues of interoperability and coordination. Different weapon systems, varying military doctrines, and language barriers complicate joint operations. These challenges were evident during the 2011 intervention in Libya, where European militaries struggled to operate effectively without significant U.S. support. Moreover, there is a reluctance among some European countries to engage in military interventions beyond their borders. This aversion to military action, rooted in historical experiences and pacifist sentiments, limits Europe's ability to project power and address security threats independently. Section 5. The strategic significance of U.S. military presence. The U.S. military presence in Europe is not merely a symbolic gesture of transatlantic solidarity, it serves vital strategic interests for both the United States and its European allies. The network of U.S. bases across Europe provides a forward operating platform for projecting American power and influence globally. U.S. bases in Europe have played a crucial role in military operations in the Middle East, Africa, and beyond. They serve as logistical hubs, staging grounds for troops and equipment, and command and control centers for U.S. forces operating in distant theaters. Beyond their operational significance, U.S. bases in Europe also serve as a deterrent against potential adversaries. The presence of U.S. troops, particularly in Eastern Europe, reassures NATO allies and deters potential aggression by Russia. The U.S. military presence also facilitates intelligence sharing and joint training exercises between U.S. and European forces. These activities enhance interoperability, improve readiness, and strengthen the overall defense capabilities of the transatlantic alliance. Section 6. Divisions within Europe, a continent divided. The debate over the future of U.S. troop presence in Europe has exposed deep divisions within the continent itself. European nations are not monolithic in their views on NATO, defense spending, or the perceived threat from Russia. Countries in Eastern Europe, particularly those that were once part of the Soviet bloc, tend to view Russia as a direct threat and strongly support a robust U.S. military presence in the region. These countries have first-hand experience with Russian aggression and are wary of any move that could be perceived as Western weakness. Western European nations, on the other hand, tend to have a more nuanced view of Russia. While acknowledging the threat posed by Moscow, they are also keen on maintaining dialogue and economic ties with Russia. This difference in threat perception has led to tensions within NATO, with Eastern European members accusing their Western counterparts of complacency. The debate over defense spending further exacerbates these divisions. While most NATO members have committed to increasing their defense budgets, progress has been uneven. Some Western European countries have been slow to meet their spending targets, much to the frustration of their Eastern European counterparts. Section 7. Potential consequences of U.S. troop reductions. A significant reduction in U.S. troop presence in Europe would have far-reaching consequences for transatlantic security and the future of NATO. It would weaken the alliance's deterrent posture, embolden Russia, and potentially lead to a more unstable security environment in Europe. A reduced U.S. military footprint would undermine NATO's ability to respond effectively to crises and deter potential aggression. It would also send a message of American retrenchment from Europe, which could embolden Russia to test the alliance's resolve. Moreover, a U.S. troop withdrawal could trigger a security dilemma in Europe, as countries scramble to fill the void left by the United States. This could lead to increased military spending, a renewed arms race, and heightened tensions between European nations. The economic consequences of a U.S. troop withdrawal would also be significant. The presence of U.S. bases provides economic benefits to host countries, and a withdrawal would result in job losses and reduced economic activity. Section 8. The future of U.S.-European defense cooperation. Despite the challenges facing the transatlantic alliance, the United States and its European allies have a shared interest in maintaining a strong and credible NATO. The future of U.S.-European defense cooperation will depend on addressing the issues that have strained the alliance in recent years. European nations need to step up their defense spending and invest in key capabilities to reduce their reliance on the United States. They also need to improve coordination and interoperability among their armed forces to enhance their ability to operate effectively together. The United States, for its part, needs to reassure its European allies of its commitment to NATO and transatlantic security. This will require clear and consistent messaging from Washington, as well as a willingness to consult with allies on key security issues. The Biden administration has taken steps to repair the damage done to transatlantic relations during the Trump years. Biden has reaffirmed the U.S. commitment to NATO and has engaged in active diplomacy with European allies. Section 9. Conclusion: Navigating uncertainty. The future of U.S. troop presence in Europe remains uncertain. The transatlantic alliance faces numerous challenges, including the threat from Russia, the rise of China, and internal divisions within NATO. However, the United States and its European allies have a shared interest in maintaining a strong and credible NATO. By addressing the issues that have strained the alliance in recent years, they can ensure that NATO remains the cornerstone of transatlantic security for decades to come. This will require a renewed commitment to dialogue, cooperation, and burden sharing, as well as a willingness to adapt to the evolving security environment. The road ahead will be challenging, but the stakes are too high to allow the transatlantic alliance to falter.